All right, so as I was saying, my ex had the abortion, and then for a few months, we were talking, and I was very concerned because every time I talked to her, she'd be crying, and she would tell me how she wants to kill herself, and she wants to be with the baby and kill herself, and that really disturbed me a lot because, I was already upset that the baby died, but mainly I didn't want to lose her. I liked her a lot, and, I think one of the main reasons why I wanted to have the baby was because I liked her a lot and I wanted to stay with her. And also, what's the reasons why I wanted to stay with her probably too is probably because my family abandoned me. I was hoping that, I could be in a family with her. Maybe her family would accept me, and, and I felt like I felt bad for her because I felt like a part of the reason why she had the abortion was because my mom and dad abandoned me. And she thought to herself, like, and then she didn't respect me. She's thinking to herself, why would I talk to this guy if his own mom and dad won't talk to me? So like I said, during the pregnancy, she would ghost me a lot. At one point, she lied about going to the movie. She said she was going to go to the movies, but she was really going to go to a party. Another point, she asked me, "Hey Ryan, your friend Malik, he has a daughter, right? You think that that my daughter can have playdates with her daughter?" And then at another point, she was Snapchatting another guy, and in front of me, and during the intermediate periods between that, she would be ghosting me. So she didn't respect me. But in my mind, I was like, okay, well, pretty soon I'm gonna get the quadrant model big, and she'll respect me, And one thing that I wanted to do was, like, I asked her, I was like, do you think that I can talk to your mom and dad and your family, and maybe they can help support me with the quadrant model, and maybe they can help me get this stuff big? And she said, no, it's not a good idea. She said her mom and dad did, she told me don't talk to my mom and dad. So I was like, all right, whatever. But, I was basically, I was still kind of with her, but not really. The baby died. She told me that she wanted to do therapy with me and, and to grieve and all that. But then, as I said, I still wanted to have a baby because I was still thinking in the Darwinian sense. And I'm going to get to this, like I said, a lot of times I would not have sex with girls, but it was because I didn't want to get an STD, because I wanted to be a sperm donor, because I still saw the world in a Darwinian lens. Like, I still thought that religion was just an epiphenomena of Darwinism. And so, I still wanted to have a baby with her, and I might have pushed it too hard, because I was still telling her that I was telling her, like, let's still try to have a baby. And I still wanted to really have a baby. In my mind, I was thinking, I'll get the quadrant model big. She'll see that I'm not crazy. She'll respect me, and we'll have a baby, But, again, I wasn't having clear discernment. She's a single mom with a Salvadorian baby. She's not the ideal person to have a baby with, especially since she's 38 years old. But in my mind, I was telling myself, because I told her, I was like, I still want to have a baby with you. And she said, okay, but she said she couldn't have a baby because she said that she had a short cervix. So I told her, okay, well then, she said the only way that she could have a baby is if she had a surrogate. So I was like, okay, well, let's have a surrogate then. And I even texted her, her parents to ask them, if they could help pay for a surrogate for us. But then my ex told me not to text her parents anymore. But I was like, okay, well, pretty soon the quadrant model is going to get big, and I'll get enough money because I discovered the theory of everything. And also I can play professional basketball, and I can get into rap music, and I'll get enough money that we can have a surrogate. But then, like I said, I might have pushed it too fast. And like I said, though, because I wasn't seeing the world correctly. I didn't have a proper vision of the world, a correct vision of the world. I didn't understand my grandpa's existential metapsychiatry at that point, so I'll get to that. But I was still seeing things in a Darwinian perspective. I still just wanted to have a baby so I could be superior. So again, I was kind of just using her to have a baby. But then, I wasn't in the flow, right? I didn't have clear discernment, but I'll get to that, how I had that realization later and how I started to understand my grandpa's teachings. But then, as I said, she contacted me on Snapchat, and she told me, this was about a few months after the abortion. We had intercourse in my apartment. Like I said, I might have pushed it too fast. And, a little bit while afterwards, she called me and she told me that, that I had hurt her a lot, and that she, wanted to, not be in a relationship anymore, or not, that she thought it was best if we don't really talk to each other anymore. And, but in my mind, I'm like, it's the reason why she doesn't like me is because, she doesn't realize, my family has disowned me. And that was another thing I tried to explain to her about my mom and dad, but my ex was like, I love your mom. Your mom's amazing. So obviously she didn't believe me. She doesn't know that I was the best player in the country, that the shoot away messed up my shot, that my mom and dad began to abuse me after that. And because my mom thought it was something wrong with me, she didn't know it was actually my dad who screwed it up. But, it was a sad situation. Then my grandpa comes in, and my grandpa makes it worse. Ryan just wants independence. You can't make things happen. You just have to accept things. And then, and then he made things worse. And then my mom's like, yeah, just accept things. Get him out of our life. And no, it was a shoot-away machine. If it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, everything would have been wonderful. I would have been a star basketball player. Everything would have been great. My dad and mom would have still loved me. Everything would have been fine. But it was a shoot-away machine, and my dad telling me to do the wrong thing. My dad screwed me up. He got the shoot-away machine. But regardless, so my ex told me that she didn't want to see me anymore. But I was okay with that. But the thing was, I wanted to see her still. I would have been cool seeing her still. But at the same time, the main thing I was worried about was she was suicidal, because every time I talked to her during those few months, she would tell me that she wanted to kill herself, that she wanted to be with the baby, that she wanted to kill herself. So I was really concerned that she was going to kill herself. And so that's why I would text her all the time, and I would text her and just ask her, like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And she would say, yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. But like I said, she didn't respect me. She didn't like me. So she would, wait a while to text back and stuff. And eventually, like I said, she texted me. She said it's best that we don't see each other anymore. But, I still wanted to see her. So I made a mistake, and I snapped her on Snapchat. She ended up blocking me, getting rid of me on Snapchat. But I told her, like, because she told me, Ryan, you hurt me a lot, and I think it's best that we don't talk to each other anymore. So then I Snapchatted her, and I told her, what are you talking about that I hurt you? Like, you're the one who had the abortion. You're the one who was cheating on me. You're the one who was, wouldn't respond to my text and ended up having the abortion. Like, why would I be the one that hurt you? You're the one who hurt me, But I did that because I was trying to make her feel bad, because I wanted her to talk to me, Because, I didn't want her to kick me out of her life, and that's what she appeared to be doing. So I did that to try to get her to talk to me again. But then, like I said, she stopped texting me, and I'm trying to text her, and I'm basically, but when I'm texting her, at this point, I'm not even joking. I didn't care if she got back with me. At this point, I just was really concerned that she was going to kill herself, because the last time I talked to her, she said she was going to kill herself, that she was suicidal. She wanted to kill herself. So I was just texting her, and I was saying, sweetie, please just never kill yourself. Please never kill yourself, and please stay strong. Please never hurt yourself, and just please stay strong. And I just kept on texting her that, because, like I said, I had extreme anxiety that she was going to kill herself. And you might say, oh, well, that's, you have anxiety disorder. No, you fucking retard. It's legitimate concern. She just had an abortion. She's telling me that she wants to kill herself. Every time I talk to her, she's crying. And I felt bad. And a part of the reason I was so scared that she was going to kill herself was I felt like I would have too much guilt, and I would feel too bad if she killed herself. Like, I wouldn't be able to move on with my life because I would feel so bad about what happened. So, I didn't want her to kill herself. So I'm just texting her just like, and I was trying to make her feel better, like saying, it's my fault about what happened. I should have, it was my anxiety. I should have, I shouldn't have went to see her baby dad. But at the same time, no, she should have been responding to my text. She had to be on bed rest. That's why I went to see the baby dad, because she's not responding to my text. She's supposed to be on bed rest. She was being disrespectful to me. So, but anyways, I was trying to make her feel better. So I'm saying, it was my fault. I'm sorry for everything that happened. I hope you're okay. Please stay strong. Please never hurt yourself. But like I said, I would drive to her apartment every night or every morning to see if her car was moved, to see if she went to work. And then at night, I would go to see if she came back. And I would just drive in, and I would check every day because I was scared she was going to kill herself. And then, like I said, one day her car wasn't there. So her car was still there in the morning. So I knocked on her. Someone was at the gate. So I went in the gate and I knocked on her door, and I told her, I said, hey, I'm really scared that you're going to kill yourself. Please tell me, please, maybe can every once a month, or maybe once even every 2 months, just so I'm not afraid, just so I have a peace of mind. Please just give me some peace of mind, and just, you could either tell me I'm doing okay, and I don't have to respond. I told her I don't have to respond. You clearly don't want to talk to me. You clearly want me out of your life, but I am suffering mentally because I'm concerned that you're going to kill yourself, and I have a legitimate concern. So can you please just, every once, you don't even have to text me a message. Just tell me every once a month, maybe just send a letter, like the letter J, just so I know you're still alive. And I didn't tell her this, but the reason why I wanted that so bad was because I had like extreme anxiety that she was going to kill herself. So I would drive to her place every morning and every night to see if she moved her car, because it gave me extreme relief. Because in my mind, I was very scared she was going to kill herself. Because the last time I talked to her, she said she wanted to kill herself. And she wanted to be with the baby and everything. And she was going to kill herself. So I was so scared. So I would, it gave me peace of mind every time I see her car. And so, I would drive every morning and every night to make sure that she was okay. And then, like I said, so I told her that one time. She said that when she's ready, she'll talk to me. So then, like I said, 3 months after abortion was when she stopped talking to me. Then about 4 months after the abortion, this is when this is happening. Then about 5 months into the abortion, I'm still driving and checking to see if she's gonna kill herself. And then one morning again, she didn't move her car. So in my mind, I'm afraid. I'm thinking maybe she took pills, maybe she slit her wrist, maybe she shot herself. But if she shot herself, probably people would hear. But I was thinking maybe she took pills, slit her wrist, did pills or something. Maybe she's in her place and she needs some help. So I was calling her family, and I was texting her sister, but her sister, everyone blocked me. But I was texting her. I was like, whatever. I'm not gonna say her name, but my ex's sister. I'm really concerned that your sister is gonna kill herself. Last time I talked to her, she said that she was suicidal. Can you please check up on her? But, and I wanted to get in so I could knock on the door, but there was nobody to open the gate. So I drove to her sister's house. Her sister lived like 40 minutes away. So I drove to the sister's house and to see if I could talk to the sister. But the sister wasn't there. And I ended up driving back, or maybe she was there, but she didn't respond. I think she was there because when my ex went to the court, she used the doorbell evidence as evidence that I was stalking her. I wasn't stalking her. I was concerned that she was going to kill herself. So then I went back to her place, and then somebody let me in. And then I talked to my ex, I knocked on the door and I talked to her, and I was telling her, I was like, sweetie, I'm really scared that you're going to kill yourself. Can you please, when I see her, I'm so relieved, because I'm like, I thought she was dead. I thought, because every morning she goes to work, but this morning she didn't go to work. Her car was still there. So in my mind, I was like, she might have killed herself. So I knock on the door, and then she opens the door. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, thank God she's still alive. So then I tell her, I was like, I'm really concerned that you're gonna kill yourself. Can you please, like, every once in a while, just message me, let me know that you're okay. And I was hoping that I can get in touch with her sister, because if I could get in touch with her sister, I was thinking then her sister, like maybe once a month, her sister could text me and say, hey, my sister's doing okay. So then I wouldn't have to worry. That's all I wanted. But I was legitimately very scared that she was gonna kill herself. So then, but then she, my ex was telling me that she's okay, and that she will message me when she's ready. But I told her, like, I was like, I don't like it that you're completely cut me out of your life, because I was like, we had a baby together, and you had an abortion, and it makes me feel like you had the abortion to get me out of your life. And I was like, because in my mind, I'm like, if she still had the baby, then she wouldn't have me out of life. So in my mind, I'm like, she killed the daughter so that she can get rid of me, and that hurt. But so I told her, but what I told her was, I said, I gave you $1,000, like over $1,000 in food stamps when you were pregnant, because you told me to give you food, because you said that you needed help during the pregnancy and stuff. So I was like, but the only reason why I told this to her, was because I was afraid that she was going to tell the police, and I wanted to have an alibi of why I was talking to her, and I wanted to be able to tell the police, hey, I'm just I'm just talking to her because she owes me $1,000, because I spent $1,000 during the pregnancy, and she owes money. But really, I did not care about the money at all. The only reason why I said this was so that if she called the police, then the police would know that, so I could tell the police, hey, there's a legitimate reason why I'm doing this. And the other reason was, she called my mom, and she told my mom, Ryan's harassing me, and so then I'm talking to my mom, and then my mom's like, Ryan, if people want nothing to do with you, if people want you out of their life, you have to just accept it. You just have to accept it. And, again, because my mom's saying the same thing about my mom and dad. I want to see my mom and dad, but they won't see me. They're like, you just have to accept it. And I'm like, how about I don't have to fucking accept it? How about people just treat me with some fucking dignity? Because I discovered a theory of everything. I don't need to be treated like shit like this. So I'm telling my mom. So then I told my mom, I was like, no, she owes me $1,000. And my mom was like, okay. Because my mom just cares about money. But no, but that's not the reason why I was trying to see my ex. I just wanted my ex to, I told her, can you just text me like once a month, once every 2 months, just so I know you're alive, just so I have some peace of mind. And I didn't want to tell her that I was driving every day to see her car in the morning to see if she was still alive and to see it at night, because I didn't want her to know that. But and the reason why I wanted it so bad was I was wasting gas doing that, because I just wanted her to text me once a month to just to say like, I'm doing okay. And I told her, I don't even have to respond. Just let me know you're doing okay. You know? So then this was about 6 months after the abortion, or yeah, about 5 months after the abortion, my friend Bill wanted me to meet him to get some food. And then it was right next to my ex's place, so I drove by to see if her car was there, but the gate was open and her car was there. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna go say hi. I'm gonna talk to her. So I went through the gate and I talked to her, and I'm trying to tell her, I was like, sweetie, I'm suffering mentally, not knowing if you're okay or not. Can you please not cut me out of your life completely? I don't need to be with you. Can you please just tell me every once in a while, text me, call me, let me know that you're doing okay. Just tell me that you're doing okay, so I don't have to be concerned. Because in my mind, I was like, if my ex kills herself, my life's going to be destroyed. And I was, like I said, she just had the abortion. People don't understand how fragile I was. My ex was saying that she was fragile. I was extremely fragile. Every time I saw a little kid, I would start to cry. Any little thing, I would start to cry. I was in really bad shape. And everybody who knew me would validate that I was in very, very bad shape at that time. And so I was trying to tell her, let me know that you're okay, because if she killed herself, then I would be destroyed. It would destroy my life. And I was very scared she was going to kill herself. So, but then, I think it was probably about 6 months after the abortion, that was when I saw that my ex posted my ex's friend posted a picture of my ex and her at a party. And this is her Jewish friend Sylvie. And the Jewish friend, like I said, she's a drug addict, and she takes her to this like hippie party. And I know all the people at the party again, and all these people are drug addicts, losers, just drug addicts, and they're Satanists. They're satanic people. They're all into race mixing, polyamory, drug addiction. And I see my ex at the party with Sylvie. And I had told my ex, I told her right after the abortion, I said, and please don't go to parties with Sylvie, because number one, I didn't want her to be doing drugs and kill herself because of the fentanyl and stuff. And I thought after the abortion, she might be doing a lot of drugs and she might kill herself with drugs. And number two, because, I knew that, that Sylvie was a drug addict and that she would do cocaine and stuff with her. And I didn't want her to be, and also just out of respect for me, because she just had an abortion. I'm like, dude, you just had an abortion. Please don't go to parties with Sylvie and let Sylvie post pictures of you going to parties, because that's not going to look good for me or you. But then Sylvie posts a picture of her and my ex at a party, and this is right after the abortion. This is like 6 months after the abortion. So that's when, like I said, I would have continued trying to see my ex because I wanted her to just let me know if she's doing okay. So that's when I drove to her work, and that's when I went into the work. I went into the work and I said, because I walked in and there's all these people looking at me. So I said, and I see Kate, I see my ex. I say, you owe me $1,000. And I said, you owe me $1,000 and I'm going to get you fired. But the only reason why I said that was because I didn't want the people to call the police. And if the people called the police, then I would say, hey, I'm just here because she owes me $1,000. And because I wanted to have an excuse for why I was there. But I didn't care about the money. I really did not care at all about the money at all. I just wanted to talk to my ex and tell her, hey, please, this is too much for me. I'm hurting mentally. Can you just text me once a month, once every 2 months, and just let me know you're okay? Just so I know that you're alive. Because at the time, like I said, I was still checking on her car to see if she was okay. So then, and it was wasting gas money. And I was very concerned. Like I legitimately was extremely concerned that she was going to kill herself. And it gave me a lot of relief when I would check her car and see that she was still alive. So, but then she ended up, she had the janitor just kick me out. She didn't talk to me. And then I went to her mom's place to try to talk to the mom. And then her mom yelled at me, "Get out of here!" So I don't know if she knew who I was or whatever, but then I just left. I went to knock on the mom's door. She just yelled, "Hey, get out of here! I'm calling the police!" So then I just went and I drove in my car and I went off. But then I'll say what happens next.